Hello everyone, it's lovely to see you all. I've missed sharing my days with you so much and excuse me, you'll have to put up with me being a little bit breathless because I'm having some difficulty with my breathing at the moment. It is getting better, but I'm going to explain to you what happened and why I dropped off a cliff just before Christmas, well into Vlogmas, just disappeared with very limited explanation of what happened to me. So I thought I'd sit down with my coffee and tell you the very sorry tale of my buffoonery which stopped me from being able to vlog or, well, do much really for the last 6-7 weeks, which is very pleasant. So I think I got up to the 18th of December with Vlogmas, sorry. And then on the 19th of December, I was having a very productive day. I did that secret job. I started vlogging, I'd recorded my advent opening and everything, and did that very highly secret job that you have to do, and then put the results of that secret job that you have to do before Christmas in the garage out of the way. And while I was in there, I remembered that when we got all of the Christmas decorations out, I'd missed a bag which had got a beautiful patchwork Christmas cushion in it that my sister Wendy had made for me a few years ago. So I thought, oh, while I'm in here, I'll just pop up and I'll go and grab that, and then I can, you know, and then I was going to sit down, do a bit of knitting probably, and relax for a bit. Anyway, all of the Christmas decorations and stuff get stored in the loft of our garage. So I grabbed the loft ladder down, and it's one of those that clicks like an extendable ladder, and it clicked into place for the first section, and then I thought it had clicked into place for the second section coming down. I've since learned that it's a little bit iffy and you have to be really firm with it, so I thought it had gone in and it hadn't. I went up to the top, and we don't have a light up there, so we've got just a lantern, and you have to bring the flex down and plug it in the garage. I can grab the flex, put it in, and to be honest, I had thought that the stuff that I wanted was right at the edge of the loft hatch. I wouldn't even have to go up and in, I could just reach in and grab it. But I'd forgotten that Johnny had been and put the empty boxes and things back up there, and things had got moved round. So I plugged in the lantern, and as I was going back up the ladder, I'd got my head in the hatch, so my feet were over halfway up the ladder. The mechanism at the bottom of the ladder shot up and away and pulled the ladder out from under me. So I was scrabbling around trying to catch onto the top of the ladder. I tore, I don't know if you can see there, but I tore the end of my right ring finger really badly on the ladder, and it's healed well, but it still feels weird. It's like I've got a piece of masking tape or something over it. Anyway, that's the least of my worries. I was at home alone. My phone was on the dining room table, and I was laying on the floor on my back, the concrete floor of the garage. I'd managed to miss the big work bench. I'd managed to miss Johnny's lathe coming down, and as my next door neighbour said, there was a perfect Suzanne shaped gap on the floor. There's not much room in there, that I'd managed to land in without hitting anything else on the way down. I hit my head, but didn't get any concussion or any pain from that particularly. I've got a wheat pack around my shoulders. That's why I look a bit like Quasimodo. And then I realised that I couldn't get up and I couldn't breathe properly. Now our back gate is locked on the inside with a big fat bolt, or it was, it's broken now. But and our house is quite a long way away from a busy main road and at a lower level, so you come down the drive The house is lower than the level of the road. It winded me, as you would imagine it would, and when I got my voice back, I started screaming for help. And as luck would have it, my lovely next door neighbour had just opened her back door to let their dogs out to stretch their legs and have a wee into their back garden, and heard me hit the concrete, and then started hearing these weird strangulated cries for help. So she couldn't get through the back gate, couldn't break it down, so she ended up having to go down their garden and pull down part of their fence and climb over the wall and get through that way. She rang the paramedics, rang 999, and I got an advanced paramedic, you know, that comes in a car on their own. I got a doctor on call, and the emergency doctor on call, and I got a full crew. And because she reported that I couldn't breathe properly, that I ended up then almost dispatched the air ambulance. So, but luckily, when the first response paramedic came, he said, checked me over, checked my oxygen sats, said, I don't think you've done any serious damage to your lungs, and stood down the helicopter. So I rang Johnny and he came home. It takes him about half an hour to get back home from work. He got back to me just before I was about to get on the ambulance. So they had to isolate me because of risk of back injury. I was on a backboard and I had to go to hospital, and it wasn't a pleasant experience, I've got to be honest, being in hospital. I spent 10.5 hours on a corridor getting dehydrated and begging for pain relief, and not getting any opportunity to go to the loo. It took them 4 hours just to come and do the initial assessment on me. So it was quite an unpleasant and stressful experience. Anyway, I had a CT scan and they ascertained that I'd broken my L1 vertebrae of my back and 4 ribs, which, considering what I did, I think I got off extremely lightly. Sorry. My lung capacity is not what it should be at the moment. So when I talk a lot or walk a lot or anything like that, I get really breathless really easily. So anyway, I spent about 4 weeks in an awful lot of pain. First 2 weeks were the worst. Then I started tentatively trying to increase my mobility and my stamina and doing things. Because I'd got broken ribs and because it was the middle of winter, I got a chest infection. I think I got it from Cosmo because he came home, broke up from school for Christmas with a bad cough. And because I couldn't cough effectively, I ended up with this chest infection that took 2 lots of antibiotics to clear. So, yeah, I've still got a little cough. I've still not cleared it completely, and I'm still wheezy, but it's sort of an upper respiratory thing now. But I was up at my mum's house about almost 3 weeks ago. It was a Monday. I was up at my mum's house. Obviously, I've been off work all this time, and I was in a slightly odd position, and I coughed really hard, and I re-broke my bottom back rib fracture. Just a sec. And ever since then, I felt like my left lung is constricted. Last Monday, I went to my GP and said, I'm really struggling with my breathing and the pain. And she was worried that it might be a pneumothorax or pulmonary embolism. So she sent me up to A&E, and I had chest x-rays and blood tests done, and they said no, thankfully. It wasn't any of those things, and that it was just my body struggling to recover from another trauma. So I'm now just trying really hard to work on increasing my lung capacity. I've spent all morning doing light housework. I've been hand washing clothes because our washing machine's on the blink again. Doing pots, you know, just cleaning the downstairs loo, those kinds of things. Not going mad, but yeah, keeping busy. And now I'm really ready for a sit down, so I thought, right, I'm gonna sit down and tell the story. And all I can say is, during that time, thank goodness for craft, because it kept me sane. So I'm going to show you a bit of what I've been making. I've got a couple of finished objects and quite a few works in progress to share with you. So let's start with what I think you saw me knitting. Now, did I start this on the 12th of December? I think I might have done. If you remember, Cherie from Ollie and Bella and I did a swap, and we were sending each other like a Christmas box for the 1st of December. And she'd sent me this beautiful biff sugar yarn. I think it was called Christmas Lights. Christmas tree lights, fairy lights, something like that. And I had just cast on and started that, and so now I've got a finished pair of socks. And these are all my usual statistics: 64 stitches on a 2.25mm circular Chowgu needle. I tipped the rib in the contrast colour which came with it, and the pattern, yes, you can see that quite well there. That's Dots and Lines pattern, which is one of 3 textured sock patterns that come together, and it's by Dana Ray, and you can find that on Ravelry. So that's that, and then I just did my normal toe and forethought heel in the contrast as well, and the colours in this yarn are absolutely stunning. I thoroughly enjoyed every moment of that. I did manage to enjoy most of my Christmas. I think I went on autopilot a little bit and just ploughed through for Christmas and Boxing Day. At that point, I was under the impression that I was going to be recovering a lot quicker than I was able to in reality. So anyway, on Christmas Eve, I did my traditional Christmas Eve sock cast on, and as always, I cast on the sock yarn, the Christmas sock yarn that my friend Paula had given me for Christmas the year previous, which is what I always do. So I finished those off as well. I'm getting that. I don't know where my other sock blockers have gone. So this is Woolly Mama yarn. Hopefully you can see that. And this is Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. And this was another sock set. So I've done a plain vanilla sock, my usual 2x2 rib, just with the first row cast on the first row of the tipping, because I just love the contrast of that red with this gorgeous yarn. And then a normal forethought heel and my normal toe. This is almost glowing, it's so bright. And then you've just got all these gorgeous neon pops of blue, pink and yellow. And that was really good for me because I was just mindlessly, and I could do it, you know, in my heavily drugged up stupor. So that's what's finished. A couple of whips that I've got going then, and I was working on this at the beginning of December, and it sort of got put on the back burner, but I'm going to pick this up shortly again and get going with it. And this is my Bob Robin sock. And I think I might have mentioned that very, very grateful and appreciative to be able to say that between us all, we raised £242 for Alzheimer's Society. So, but with the sale of the Bob Robin kits, so the sock set, the knit kits and needle cozies and the project bags, which was a joint effort with me, Laura and Wendy. So that's on hold, but will shortly be getting picked back up again. Excuse me. And then, because Cosmo absolutely loves his hand knitted things and stuff. Oh, there's another whip that's on the finished object that's on the line. I'll show you those in a bit. I managed to prise them off of Cosmo long enough to let me wash them and dry them. Cosmo's feet have grown a lot, and he's grown out of all of his hand knitted socks. So I'm on a bit of a mission. Now this was, I think you'll remember when I received my swap package from Cherie. She sent me some extra lovely yarns, which were things that were left over from socks that she'd made. But she also sent me 2 50-gram balls. I've wound them into balls, but I've got the ball band here of Regia, and the colour is 05478. And I just looked at it and thought, oh, they'd make lovely socks for Cosmo. So I've finished one. I've made it almost as long as my foot length, and I got him to try it on the other day, and it just fits. So I'm trying to decide whether I should undo the toe on the first one and put another inch in. I think I might, because I don't want to be having to ditch them and knit brand new ones within the next 5 minutes. But the yarn has knit up really lovely. It's the same method that I use for my own socks, but I did 60 stitches instead of 64. Sorry. So I finished the first. The contrast for the heel and toe is West Yorkshire Spinners in the, I want to say blue raspberry, but I'm not sure that's right. But it's like the turquoisey blue colour anyway. And then I am this far down the second sock, so I'm not too far away from the heel. And I've been keeping that in my Harry Potter project bag that my sister Laura made for me. And I'm just picking that up and working on it as and when. I'm trying to get them done as quickly as I can, because some of them, it still wears his other lovely socks, bless him, because he loves them so much. And the heels are halfway down the sole of his foot, so you know, I'm just trying to get things done as quickly as possible for him. I'm knitting a pair of socks for Ivy as well, but they're my D&D socks, so she knows they get knitted on, and I've already finished the first one of those. She said, oh, it'll take ages to get those finished, and I said, well, we've only played half a dozen games and I've already finished the sessions, and I've already finished the first sock, so you know, I think I'm doing all right with them. I'll get those out in a bit and show them to you. Once I'd finished Christmas presents that I was making for people, I decided to treat myself to a cast on that's been sat waiting patiently for over 2 years. I had the yarn from my mum and dad for Christmas 2020 to 2021, and the buttons that I wanted to go with it, my sister Laura bought me for Christmas that same year. So it was a bit like they put a kit together for me. Now this is living in a very, very special bag, which I got from Paula at Stitch by Mrs. D. And it's one of her bear under the tree bags, as I call it. And it's massive. I mean, look, compared to my head. And it's one of the patchwork ones. It's got bunting in the tree. It's got more bunting on the back. And it's lovely and big for chunky projects, because this is a Felix cardigan, which you may have seen, I'm sure you have seen before. It's around everywhere. Oh, sorry. And I worked on this. I must admit that although it's a very simple pattern, because of the amount of drugs that I was taking to keep me pain under control, I did find I could only work on this for a limited amount of time each day whilst I was doing the raglan increases, because it has lace detail raglan increases. Can you see them? Yes, I think you can. But once I got down to the bottom of those and put my sleeves on hold, and it was just chugging away, no shaping or anything, just going down the body, I got the rest of that knitted really quickly. So it's going to be really hard to show you, actually. But yeah, I've finished the body, and it's quite a cropped cardigan. And I'm just over halfway down the first sleeve, bit stuck on Sleeve Island, but I'm just trying to get myself to do 2 or 3 decrease repeats. It's for my size, it's a 6-row repeat, knit 5 rounds and then decrease on the 6th. So if I can do like 18 rounds a day, that makes a lot of length on a sleeve. So because I do want to get to wear it, and then I've obviously got to do the button band and buttonhole band and the neck rib as well. So that's my Felix cardigan, and I am knitting this in, oh, it's such gorgeous yarn, Cerdar Saltaire, and the colour is Mole. Isn't it? Mole? Mole, I am a mole and I live in a hole. Yes, shade 0307 Mole. And the buttons that I've got to go with it are from handmade by Rainbow Fusions. I don't know if you can see that very clearly, but it is. And so there's 7 of them. I hope you can see them through the glare. They're like black with rainbow glitter in them. I just wanted a bit of something special, because, you know, a charcoal grey cardigan isn't my sort of go-to kind of knitting. And I must admit it's a bit of a slog. So I'm going to be ready to get this off of the... It's a quick knit, but it's a bit of a boring knit. If I was doing it in a different colour, I think I'd be enjoying it a lot more. I've also finished my granny square blanket. Don't know why I couldn't think of that word. And finished putting the edging on that a couple of days ago, and now I'm working on just darning in so many ends on that every night. It's only 2 ends per square, so I'm trying to just do a row, one of the short rows every night. And then I think, well, it only takes me 10 or 15 minutes, and if I can do that, then I can move on to other things that I enjoy more, and it'll be done in a week or so. And the final project that I've got here to show you is it's living in this slightly cat hair covered beautiful project bag that was made for me by Bex of Bex Creates podcast, and she gave it to me when I met up with her in Nottingham when she was up visiting family. And it's got these gorgeous stitch markers and progress keepers on it that twinkle as well. And this is a project which I'm doing with my friend Davina, who you've heard me speak of many times. And over Christmas and probably just into the new year, she and I were talking about like a monthly subscription quilt club. And she was trying to find one that she felt was in her budget and that she was happy to pay. And I was having a look as well, and she just kept not finding something that was really satisfactory to her. And then she said, how about, because we've both got loads of fabric stash, how about we do it so that we actually send each other bits of fabric for our every month for our swap. So we agreed to do February to November, so 10 months, and send 3 little individually packaged parcels per month to make 3 motifs. And what we're making is the Granny's Flower Garden quilt, which is hexagons which are made out of one central hexagon, flowers that are made out of one central hexagon with 6 contrasting hexagons around the outside. So we're sending each other 3-inch squares, 1 in one colour and 6 in a contrasting colour, and then we've got 3 to open, cut and make up every month, and then we provide our own edging fabric. So we've done our first swap, and I've just finished making up my flowers. I haven't got the edgings on yet because I've got the fabric for that on order. I've decided to go for a nice palish greeny bluey batik. I didn't want to go for white, which is more traditional, because cats and children and me, to be fair, and messy as well. So anyway, these are the ones that Davina has sent me. Really pretty lilac-y pinkies. And this one, which is from Elmhurst fabric, which I adore. It's got these rose hips and fairies and birds. You see those fairies there? So that's that one. And I love the contrast of the red with that. That's perfect. And then this lovely tealy turquoisey one, which is a really nice batik type print fabric as well. So I'm eagerly awaiting March arriving so that we can do the next bit, and also I'm looking forward to putting the edges. So there'll be 12 green hexagons, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way around, and then they tessellate together, and then you have to fill in the gaps around the edges afterwards. So that's it, that's all I've brought over here to show you. There are other bits and bobs, but I'll probably pick up and show you those another time. Although I tell you what I am going to share with you. Do you remember that during Vlogmas I was waiting, and had been waiting for ages, for an Advent swap parcel coming from Canada, and we had no idea where it was? Well, it arrived, I want to say 2 weeks ago, so late January, yeah, mid to late January, and it took 87 days to get here, we calculated in the end. That was from my lovely friend Shelley in Canada. So what I'm going to do is, so I sat and just opened it all, and it was lovely. I've eaten 1 or 2 of the little treats out of it, but I've left everything else so that I could show you what she'd sent me. So what I'll do is I'll lay it all out. I'll section it off into mini skeins and tea bags and drinks and things like that, and other bits and bobs, so that I can show you it grouped up like that. And then I'll get out what bits and bobs of yarny stuff I had for Christmas and share all of that with you as well, because why not? We all like to see people's new stash acquisitions, don't we? Anyway, thank you for listening to my long and rambly story, and yeah, I'd like to say it was a complete shock to me that happened, but unfortunately I'm so clumsy that nothing's really that much of a surprise, although I really hope never to have to go through anything like that again, and I'm just very grateful that it wasn't far worse than it was. So on that note, I'm going to go and take some painkillers and reheat my wheat bag, because I've been having a lot of stiffness in my neck and shoulders, mostly from having to sleep almost sitting up on 5 pillows. And I'm going to get some dinner. I'll see you again in a bit. Here's all the lovely yarn that came from Shelley. There are all the 10 gram minis. That's some of the sweeties. I'll let the children share most of those, I think. Lots of different hot chocolates and teas, which is lovely. She included some Halloween goodies, including this tiny little pumpkin progress keeper, which is adorable. And some fairy lights with skulls and this little Frankenstein chap. And then over here, I've got, oh, that hurt my knees kneeling up, tea towels, smelly things, napkins. These are some googly safety eyes. Oh my goodness. A really cute pom-pom, a hand mask. That's a candle. A couple of these handmade scrubbies, which are great. Some really nice Christmassy fairy cake liners. A bath soap pouch, or pochette pour savon, which I've never had before, which is really cute. Nail varnish, some that's maple candy. This is a Tuft Woolens Chai Spice hand and body balm, which I'm really excited about trying. This really sweet little Christmas tree ornament that I think is also handmade. A kit to make some felt ornaments, and then these gorgeous skeins of yarn, which are 250-gram ones. It's Timber Yarns, and the colourway is Spumoni. Shelley says she has this as well, and we've agreed to cast it on for March together, which is really exciting. So they're very lovely, and they'll go in my Christmas socks once I'm done. So thank you ever such a lot, Shelley. It's all absolutely gorgeous, and I'm really excited to get to play with it all now. Here's a quick look at my patchwork granny blanket, which I've been telling you about. I don't know how many squares there are in it. I lost count. But I just made it until it was really big and snuggly, basically. So these are mostly, well, these are a mixture of leftovers from socks I've knitted and swap yarns from advents and things like that. So I've really just done it very randomly indeed, and just picked and chosen what I fancied to put next to what. And then at the end I've just done a little, it's 2 rounds of granny clusters, and then a round of half trebles, and then a round of double crochet around the edge. And as I say, I'm now just working my way along, darning the ends in as I go. So I've started at that end, and I think I've done most of 3 rows. And I'm just tackling it a little at a time rather than trying to do them all in one go. I'm very pleased with it. And now I want to do another. Here are a few of the yarny Christmas presents. Well, here are the yarny Christmas presents I got this year. So these were from my parents-in-law. I ordered them and they put them together because I wanted a nice knitted red jacket. And this is the pattern that I found, which I discovered because someone I met at work had knitted this, and I really, really liked it. So I asked them if I could have yarn to make that for Christmas. So that's ready and waiting for me. And this was my Christmas present from Johnny. Not doing it justice in this light. Let's see. That's better. This is Peak District yarn. Can't get the tag. It's her colour wheel range, and the colour is jade. And it's a high twist merino nylon sock yarn. And I've got this to make a ranunculus jumper for myself. And then my Christmas yarn from Paula this year was this gorgeous Snuggly Stars yarn, which is called Coming Home for Christmas, on the fabulous sock base. And it's speckledy and bright and pretty and gorgeous. You know me, I love a bit of a neon, so that's really doing it for me. So that will be my Christmas Eve cast on for next year. My green batik fabric arrived yesterday for the border hexes for my flower garden quilt. And I think I've got think I've got 1.5 metres here. It's probably too much. But what I was thinking I would do is, because the hexes are roughly 3 inches wide, so I've got my cutting mat out and ruler and rotary cutter. Now this is not advisable. Me and rotary cutters do not go well together, so this could go one of two ways. All I hope is that I've got enough excess that if I do make a mistake, it won't be too horrendous. And then I'm going to just cut some 3-inch-ish wide strips to make it a lot more manageable to be able to cut the hexes out. So watch this space and I will come back and show you what I have managed to achieve or destroy. Here's a little progress report on the flower garden patchwork. I have finished edging this one and this one with the green, and I'm going to start next on this lovely turquoisey one. The green will be quite a subtle contrast with that one, I think, but it'll still look very pretty. I'm really loving how it looks, and I think this fabric sort of reminds me of like gosh, what's it called? Not Bakelite, because that was brown, but the other one, that early plastics anyway, from like the 20s and the 30s. I'm really happy with how they look. So I'm going to, I've got a big stack of these cut out, so I'm just doing 12 at a time and then edging the next one. I'm trying to decide whether to wait or whether to start joining them now. I need to look at the pattern actually and work out how the joining is supposed to go. I originally thought they went edge to edge like this, but then that's not the correct shape for the next one to tessellate in, so, and neither is that, so I actually think it's like this, but I'm not 100% sure. I need to look at it. I'm going to research it online before I start joining them together. Anyway, I shall say ta-ta for now. Thank you very much for joining me for this vlog, and I will be back with more very soon, hopefully. Hope you have enjoyed a little catch-up, and I will see you hopefully later on this month, but if not, definitely in March for birthday vlogs. Ta-ta for now.